Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today, my guest, I'll bring him on in a moment. Very, very sharp guy. For those who are listening on the podcast, I would advise clicking on the link in the description because we're going to have a full-blown geek out session. There's been a lot of chat about comprehend. There's been a lot of chat about recognition, and of course, Rufus, Cosmo, etc., etc. So Jeff, I'm going to bring on shortly. Now, Jeff's background is in engineering. He works with a lot of agencies. He's worked with brands. He owns a brand. He's exited a brand. And one of his biggest skill set is to break down complex things like recognition and stuff, can be kind of complex. If you log into AWS, a lot of it seems very foreign to most people. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on Jeff now, and then get your pens and pads ready because this one's going to be pretty special. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you doing, Danny?
I'm good. Okay, anything I missed out in the introduction there? Although I mentioned Cosmo, we're not covering that today, but it will be Rufus, it will be sentiments in terms of Amazon comprehend, and we're going to be looking at recognition, but we're also going to look at objects as well, not just text recognition. And we're going to look at how this can be scaled, especially if you've got a larger brand with a lot of products, right?
Yeah, the main thing is how do we build a repeatable process that can be handed off to a team member and be done, with the same consistency every time.
Yeah, indeed.
Especially people with large catalogs, like that's one of the biggest struggles that I see them having.
Yeah, indeed. So I'll let you kick off here. Obviously, I'll chip in at various different points. Do you want to give everyone a breakdown of what we got planned now as we go step by step through this process?
Yeah, so we start everything off in Miro. We kind of put the main tools that we're going to be using, put any notes that we have on the tools that we're going to be using, or any notes that we've read on articles online or Amazon Science articles. We'll actually put these in here as well.
Yeah.
And then eventually, as we do our testing, we'll start to build out the flow chart. We'll start to, the business improvement process will start to take shape. And at the end, we'll have a complete start to finish process.
Yeah.
With every step along the way, with the SOPs and how the idiosyncrasies of how things work.
Yeah, and basically by the end of this show, and we will do some additional ones if required, but it depends how far we get today. But you can take screenshots of this. Anyone who wants them can have these, because the idea is to educate you to be able to apply this to your own business or your own agency, etc. Right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to cover what I call like level 1 discovery.
Yeah.
We've done some tests. We've kind of got an idea of what's going on. Still might be areas that we need to, keep testing, but we can start to develop some answers to our questions on what we have.
Cool.
And so we're going to start not like a new listing. We're actually going to start with it's an existing listing. So this is somebody that wants to optimize their listing. And the first step, you can use any keyword research tool, but just develop your MKL. Right here we have Data Dive. For those of you who don't know, True Honey Tea is a brand that I own part of. Any type of testing, I do public share this account. So everything that you're going to see is eventually going to be live on Amazon, especially like this rooibos chai tea and the hibiscus lemon that we're releasing. So we develop our master keyword list. Once we're done with that, we're then going to put together a graphics brief and send that to the graphic designer. So we have an existing listing, we have the MKL, and then we're going to go to our graphics here. And from the graphics, they will then develop the graphics and give it back to us. Now, when they give it back to us, what we're going to want to do is run that through Rekognition and try to start to get questions and answers to how Rekognition ties into the Amazon search bar that's going on right now with Rufus and with Cosmo. So here's the hibiscus lemon tea that we just developed. And the first part of this is going to be the object detection. There's two parts of recognition. One is object detection, which is harder. You have to use Python code. And the other part is text recognition, which is really easy to do. And we just upload the image and it just gives you the text that it sees. Now, for the object recognition on this first one, we can see that the brand name, True Honey Teas, Hibiscus Lemon Lift. We've got a lemon over here. It's really hard to put.
Can you expand it a little bit so it's wider on the screen?
Yeah.
Just so it's a bit further out. There you go. Perfect.
So, we've got this little tag up here that this is not actually on the packaging, but we put it on there. You've got the hibiscus flower, some dried hibiscus there, and some lemon here. Now, if we look at the detected labels in object, we've got the label herbal, which we're assuming is coming from this pile of dried leaves. We've got herbs plant. We've got the flower, so that it's pulling this flower in the object. We've also got petal, food, fruit, produce. So they're picking up the lemon. They're recognizing that it's produce. Citrus fruit, lemon. And you can see the confidence score. They know it's food.
Yeah.
88%. They think it's a citrus fruit. And they think it's a lemon. You can watch their confidence score of that go down.
It starts to drop, yeah.
And then we got the label advertisement. And what was really interesting is we got the label hibiscus. And it's even though it's only 56%, we did get hibiscus. And I was really surprised at that. Because if I asked you what a hibiscus looked like, I didn't even know until we started developing this. Typically only returns 10 labels. So that's what the object recognition gave on this one right here. Now, the next part would be the text recognition. And you can see now it's picking up hibiscus lemon. And it's got a huge confidence, 99%.
Yeah.
Tea bags, 99%. So it's really fruit honey, which is true honey. That just means that, if you have a creative or artistic brand name, it may misread it.
Yeah.
And then teas, it picked that up. Hibiscus. And these are actually really high confidence scores, 99. Yeah. Lemon lift, so it's picking up that. 24 tea bags. It actually picks up, if you look at this total net weight, 11 ounces. Where that is on the product is way down here at the bottom. You can hardly even read that. It's kind of massive.
It is. He's very good at picking up even extremely small text. I did some demonstrations in another video where the text was really small, and it's still very good at picking it up.
So it did pick up every part of this. Now, we do have another one in this sample.
Yeah.
That's further down here. Let me get down to it. So here's image 2. And this one, we added some icons across it. I can make this a little bit bigger. We added some icons across it. We put the lemons over here. I mean, aesthetically, I like this image better, personally.
Yeah.
But as you said in the opening, I'm an engineer, not a graphic designer, so I don't try to give it too much of an opinion on graphics. But what I see is we got a high confidence on herbs, advertisement, flower, petal, poster, food, fruit, produce. It didn't pick up lemon, and it didn't pick up hibiscus. So putting that lemon behind this pile here, did that now say the object recognition give it a harder time because it can't distinguish that being a lemon, even though the lemon didn't have as high of a confidence score in the first one?
You bring up a very good point. The point I was going to bring up, but you've tied it. We can elongate into this. A lot of sellers will put all their accessories in their images, right? Because they'll go, right, okay, showing the value for money. What you find is quite a lot of the time it confuses the OCR. So it's not picking up what's in there, and it will give them misrepresentation and put different labels on because there's so much going on in the image. Now, there are times it's done well. I did an image stack the other day and it captured everything beautifully, but I think the people that did the the main image are world class at what they do, they're also running it through Rekognition to ensure that every attribute is being displayed correctly or near as correct. And I think that is some of the problems. The step with the cross-referencing. I've done an article called Mastering Attributes and Images, which relating to your keyword ranking and tying back to here. I mean, we're doing this slightly differently. I don't want to go off track, but the point I was making is that I've seen plenty of times where something is a pencil case and it's shown as a first aid kit. And where it can't cross-reference that attribute with what's going on in the title and other attributes on the listing, that will obviously work against them in terms of the algorithm understanding what's going on. So, yeah, I back you there. Maybe that is a possible reason why you're not getting lemon, because it's been confused.
Yeah. So once we get, these results, we can kind of say, okay, we have two images that are scoring well. One of them, in my opinion, is an engineering mind. The one that has hibiscus and lemon, I think would be better.
Yeah.
So we can almost say that image one would be better. Now, going back to our mural board, like just how we use it, like here's our SOP for Amazon Rekognition doing the objects. What we'll do is we'll just take and we'll copy this and put it in our mural board so we have it for, which we have to authorize it. But, so we'll start to like layer in our SOPs on top of here. So this flowchart gets, so we go graphics and then we go AMZ Rec. So then, we have that decision made. Now I took it one step further. Inside of Amazon Seller Central, they have the generate listing content.
Yeah.
Where you can upload your image and it'll give you an idea. And what was interesting about the item name here, True Honey Teas Hibiscus Lemon Lift Tea Bags. Hibiscus Lemon Lift was not in any, or lift was not in any of the object recognition. The object recognition on one of them only pulled hibiscus.
Yeah.
But when I ran both of them, one of them came back True Honey Teas Hibiscus Lemon Lift 4-ounce bag. The other one came back as True Honey Tea Hibiscus Lemon Lift tea bags. What I think, and what I still need to do some testing. Remember, this is all level 1 discovery right now. Is the generate listing content. If you have text on your listing, we know Amazon is using multi-models, but it's going to go with the easiest one first. So it's going to say, hey, this has text. We'll use the text recognition over the object recognition and give that a higher score. And so now it's giving the text recognition more weight, because these are very close to what the text was bringing versus the object. Now, there's going to be some products like a bookshelf where you just may not have text.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the bookshelf. So then it might go to the object recognition. So in that multi-model system that they have built, one of them has to win out. If there's a conflict between them. And I think it's going to be the text recognition that wins out based on these results here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just pulling up mentioned that article. The header in there, it shows you a table, the impact of the OCR component on model performance. And the OCR detectors in this PAM, which is the product attribute multi-model paper, it shows the OCR detectors. One of them is mask text spotter, which gives an F1 score of 71.1. And then you've got the other, right, which is Amazon Rekognition, which gives you an output of 80.3, which I would say establishes that Amazon does use Amazon Rekognition on the back end, and it's not just for people to use in AWS for third-party projects.
Yeah, I mean, they develop these tools to use in their store.
Yeah.
I mean, they've come out and said that. So, they just are developing them and they're giving you the raw tool. They probably have like some type of language model or, have trained it some way.
Yeah.
And I believe that the way that they've trained the recognition is to take the text first
Mm.
and then the object second.
Yeah.
Based on this first test. I mean, we still have to kind of keep testing this out a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's based on this, I can, answer that pretty accurately, I think.
Yeah.
So in our mural board, what we would do is we would then put a sticky note here, and we would say, text rec looks to hold higher value, right? So remember I said, like, we're going to build this out, and we're also going to have, we're going to put our notes in here and some SOPs that we developed. This is how, like, when you look at a complex process, you start to break it down by each individual little component. And if you don't have a way to, like, accurately put your notes, or I shouldn't say accurately put your notes, consistently put your notes, that's where you kind of lose things in the weeds a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So once we have Amazon Rekognition, and we've done that where images all pass, we're very happy with it.
Yeah.
The next thing is we're going to take that MKL and we're going to go to our copy. And, whether you use ZonGuru or Helium 10 or whatever tool you use, or FBA Excel, I mean, we use Data Dive.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great tool. So what we're first going to do is we're going to try to get it to score as high as we can.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, now we're going to start running individual components and then the complete title and bullet points in Amazon Comprehend. And I put the title in here. And what a lot of people do is they put their title or they put their listing in there and they say, oh, I've got a 91% sediment.
Yeah.
And you need to go beyond that because there's a thing called targeted sediment. And there's a way to influence your targeted sediment that generates better product attributes in your listing. So if we look at the sediment on this, it's 79% confidence is neutral, 20% positive. But I'm not so worried about that. Yeah, I'd like to see the positive higher. But the sediment, and if you read the Amazon Science article, the sediment is really about question and answer and review sediment. Like, what do people think about your product? What I'm more concerned with is the targeted sediment, which that's where it's going to break things down. And the other thing it's going to break down is going to give you an entity type. And I don't see a lot of people talking about this or mentioning this. And so there's different entity types. A commercial item is a branded product. If you're selling something on Amazon, it's a branded product. I think you want to get as many relevant search terms or keywords in your listing to be tagged as a commercial item and not be tagged as other. You'll notice there's a lot of people that, when you run their listings, it's tagged as other. They also have date, they have event, location, organization, person, quantity. That can be in there. And then official title. So what we did is I'll blow this up a little bit. So the results before, we had a 0.44% confidence in neutral, 0.55 confidence in positive. And then we tried capitalization. Like, what does that do for us? So, and actually capitalization actually increased our neutral and decreased our positive. So capitalization matters inside of Amazon Comprehend. So we can say that. Now, here's the before. True Honey Tea's Rooibos tea. We're selling a Rooibos chai, right? Now look at the entity type other. Yeah. With a 90% confidence. So it's picking up Rooibos. But now if we put an adjective in front of Rooibos, so True Honey Tea's delightful Rooibos tea, we've now flipped it to a commercial item.
Right.
So by putting that adjective in front, and I found that putting adjectives in front is some of the easiest way to flip these items. And you can look at you can go into brand analytics the product opportunity explorer and look at your review sediment to find the adjectives that people are using with your product. That's the easiest way to do it. If you want to take it a step further, then you can go to top search terms to see if people are actually searching delightful rooibos or tasty rooibos or delicious. And, use the one with the most search on it. And then the other thing, the simple change actually increased our positive score to 0.58. So our positivity score actually went up as well.
Yep.
So now here, True Honey Teas is recognized as a commercial item. It is in the same sentence as rooibos and tea, which are also recognized as commercial item. Now, True Honey Teas is really the brand, but I'm not too worried about that one. So you can see it's commercial item now as well.
Yeah.
Rooibos, commercial item with that delightful in front of it. And then here's another one, slightly tweaking the name True Honey Teas and adding the lowers the entity confidence by 0.79 as a commercial item, but increases rooibos entity confidence by 0.84. So there again, how you write things is going to, and even these minor changes, like I never would have guessed that capitalization and adjectives would really make that big of a difference, but it really does. And you can now see like this is a commercial item. So we've lowered our neutral all the way to 0.38. And we've got our positive up to 0.61. We've also got commercial item tags.
Yeah.
So even though this one is rooibos chai tea, it's still tagged as neutral. I don't know if we're getting the commercial item tag on rooibos chai tea.
Yeah.
Do we care that the sediment is neutral? I mean, if you look at the definition of what sediment is, of what people think of your product, I don't think it matters if the sediment is neutral or positive on a commercial item tag.
On the tag itself or overall?
No, on the tag itself, like here.
Yeah.
I don't. But with slightly tweaking the content, we got it to a positive.
Right.
So, you can see that, we did get that up to a positive by, let's see here, it doesn't have the note on there. So, here rooibos is tagged as other on this one. This is where we put satisfying. And now it's saying it's a brand. So you can definitely manipulate this.
Yeah.
At the end, this was what we came up with. 0.37 confidence and 0.62. So we know that the adjectives, I would say adjectives play a huge role and capitalization in this.
Just to remind you, it's at 62. What did it start at? The overall. It started at 44, 55. Okay, so yeah. So the confidence score has gone up, the neutral confidence and the positive confidence have gone up, but you've also managed to attain two tags as well, as in the entity and the, what was the other one? Entity and commercial.
Yeah. Commercial item.
Yeah. Now, we've got to work out what the values are of those down the road. How do we extract the value? So you've manipulated to get those tags. What's going to be the outcome of those tags? And how do we measure it? Because it's difficult with sentiments, right? There's so much that goes into optimizing the listing. People have all different methods to doing so. And some of it is in the gray area of understanding. It's like, why not make sure the text has a high sentiment score? Just for the sake of, why not? Do you see what I mean? But is there a way of measuring it? Is going, okay, based on getting your listing to a sentiment score above X threshold, this brings you a higher ratio of sales and a better conversion rate. How do we measure and quantify that? Do you understand? Or this is atmospheric stuff that, because you've gone into the details and you do 100 little things like this, is what makes the difference?
I think the biggest difference is going to be in this commercial. Like, Making sure you have no negative sediment.
Of course, yeah.
I wouldn't want any negative, but getting these commercial items, I think that's going to be the biggest driver.
Yeah.
So now, here's a really good line, of one thing that we did. So now we're going to put that in our Miro board, right? Put that there because we started with data dive, and then we went to Amazon Comprehend. And when we're done testing this, Danny, everybody's going to get a picture of this
Absolutely.
board.
Yeah. This is what it is. It's just transparent on your brand every step of the way, thinking out loud in some places, but then also putting something that's in a process, in an order that people can evaluate and then add to their own processes.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe there's a couple other, what's another good one that we should put in here is the capitalizing.
Yeah.
We should put that in here as a note. And really, this is a day in the life of like the lab that I work in for a lot of these brands and agencies where it's, constant testing and R&D back and forth, like trying to, come up with, this process right here that they can follow.
Yeah.
Resulted to, we'll say positive. So the big thing with Amazon Comprehend is just don't look at the sediment. Look at these entity tags. Yeah. I think this is going to hold a lot of weight. And so now that we've looked at that, now the next part is going to be Rufus.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't want to overcomplicate. I think in the beginning, I talked to a very large seller and we were talking about Rufus and I was like really overcomplicating it. I was like, well, maybe if we take the top 10 ASINs and we, if you look at a lot of these questions are very similar across each ASIN in the category. And we take these and we answer them directly in the alt tags of the EBC. Like, is that going to like help generate more? But I really, after kind of testing a little bit, talking to some other people, I mean, this is really where the question and answers used to be. So it's a more sophisticated, and there used to be a search bar in the question and answers. So this is really just more of a sophisticated search bar for the question and answers that I believe also scrapes the title and bullets to get the answers. That's how I am looking at it right now. But I still want to know what the questions are. So does this tea have caffeine? Are these bags compostable? Is this tea gluten-free? Does this tea have artificial flavors? Is this tea vegan? So at least I know that I'm going to be answering these questions in my title and bullets. Or, you have somebody ask the question and I can answer it in the question and answers. So the one thing that I am doing is I still believe that we should take whatever category you're selling in and open up the top 10 products and, go right to the best sellers page for herbal teas and you open the top 10.
Yeah.
And then if we start to look at it where, okay, does this have this is on our listing, on one of our listings for True Honey Tea. Does this have caffeine? And then we can see that in this one, it's the first question they ask. Does this tea have caffeine? Is this tea gluten-free? Is that the same? Is this tea gluten-free is the third question. So these are very similar questions that they're asking in our listing as well. The next one, does a tea have caffeine? Is the tea gluten-free? So you can see that is a big, 2 questions that we found on 3 listings already. And now on a 4th listing. So if you're going to, if your tea is caffeine-free and you are gluten-free, I would say that you'd have to make sure you highlight that. Or have somebody ask a question and you can answer it.
Yeah.
So when we're writing our listing, I think taking note of what these are on the top 10 and if it's relevant to your product we should have those in the title and bullets and try to get people to ask those questions so we can answer them. I think that's going to be the biggest influencing factor on this, Rufus.
Right.
So then we can, once we do Amazon Comprehend, then we can do Rufus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we can then modify listing, copy for Rufus. And then after we've done modifying the listing copy, we'll go back to data dive, put our new listing copy in there, and see how we score.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you know, between Amazon Comprehend, Rufus, modifying the listing, and data dive, you know, you may have to go through 2 or 3 cycles of this to get the best listing you can. So then you're going to come back here and say, okay, what did it do to my ranking juice? Am I still answering everything? Do I still have the keywords in there? I still think keywords are important.
Yeah.
But I think there's other layers of complexity that we have to add now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, what people talk about all the time when they're absolutely right, and I've banged this point home for nearly 2 years now. People talk about as many keywords as possible and make sure that all these keywords are indexed in your listing. There is nothing wrong with that. That is called lexical match, which is the foundation of the internet going back 2 decades, right? But like you said, there is more to it than that. And that's not just A9, it's every search engine out there. Semantics. But now we're looking at Cosmo, right? So you're absolutely right, is we do need to make sure at this stage, right, you want to make sure that you've got all your main keywords. And yeah, it's great indexing. However, if you read the science papers, BERT nor semantic match requires anything to be indexed for it to read it. It's still going to pick up everything on the listing because it can fully scan it. Just because you can't see on the front end, it's not indexing for you, it doesn't mean that the algorithm does not see it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So we have to have a mind shift away from the way it's working now, because there will come a day where there will be a big key turn. And if you're not prepared for it and you haven't started this process already, you are going to get left behind, because you're going to spend 6 months to 12 months trying to catch back up by changing your mindset on this. If you're very rigid and stuck to that. Yeah. But I say it again before anyone says anything, keywords that index are still important. Absolutely. But
100%.
But that isn't the 100% no more. That's the 10, 15, 20% of everything else that you need to learn that will go towards that, which will help enhance things, is my take on it. Yeah.
So this is how you start to put together these processes. You know, and, you know, we've done our level 1 testing, and we can confidently say, you know, even if you just did this, you'd probably be okay. Like you'd be the top 5% of Amazon sellers, you know, doing it in your process. If, you know, we can probably refine this down so you're in the top 1%, you know, by keep testing and go to, you know, what we've learned in level 1, take it to level 2 and keep testing it. So that way, when we have this completely mapped out, you know, we know it's a solid process. And then it's repeatable. Like this is something like this process right here, you could give your team, your brand manager, your graphics, and your SEO person to be like, follow this process.
Yeah.
So if you have a clothing brand and you got 200 SKUs, you know, you can follow this on all of them.
So we're 35 minutes in, and it's been a pretty heavy session for people to make notes on. Where do we go next? Do we save the recognition part for the other show? Because that's a massive SOP deep dive, if you like, to get that right for people to comprehend how to do that based on your SOP on scale. But what other elements, is there anything you want to cover now?
No, the big thing was to show the level 1.
Yes.
Now we're going to go continue in the lab. We're going to keep refining the process.
Yeah.
So the next call, we're going to have we've already starting to have SOPs built out here.
Yeah.
You know, the next call we'll start to have these built out more. This is how we can do it at scale.
Yeah.
And that way they'll see this process map become more and more refined.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'll have more findings. I'm also going to test some recognition on items without text in it.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, look, let's wrap that there. So we'll reconvene for part 2 with Jeff in a couple of weeks. Next Tuesday, I've got a new monthly show starting called Main Image Monthly, and it's a teardown show. It's going to be us using our pairwise system for customer objections. We've got John from PICFU will be a resident, and the 2 lads over from Product Opinion, and obviously show favourite Sim Mahone. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to break down an ASIN, and we're going to use all of our different technologies to test, and then we're going to come back to the table and do a teardown on all of the images and the improvements that can be made. Because I think the way things are moving at the moment is that there's not enough testing going on, and we need more ideas about that. For people to have more ideas on what they can test, they'd be surprised of there's so much that you can do. You're only limited by your imagination, and of course, having a good foundation for testing the right things. That's next Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we've got a 4-part series with Colin Raja as we do a live launch. We're going to walk through the whole process with Colin over that period as well. So pretty excited about that. We've got Sharon Evan will be back in the chair in the next couple of weeks. Melissa will be back next week. She's just had an operation, so she'll be back in the game next week. So there's a lot of stuff coming up. Jeff, if people want to reach you, what's the best way to get in contact?
They can either do Facebook, or we have a general email box, services@thebedrockagency.com.
Excellent. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Again, thank you for giving us your time, Jeff. I look forward to doing part 2 and 3. There's a lot more to cover, and we'll get that booked in over the next few weeks. All right, guys. We're going to sign off for now. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you again soon.